I've got you. Breathe. Just breathe. The voice was deep, commanding, with an accent that suggested money and power and dangerous things whispered in back rooms. Maya found herself pressed against a solid chest, in a soaking, wet tuxedo, as the man who'd saved her carried her away from the pool's edge. Water streamed from his dark hair, plastered to his head, but his grip never faltered. Put me down. I'm fine. Maya coughed violently, her whole body shaking. You are very clearly not fine. He set her carefully on a lounge chair, his gray eyes scanning her face with an intensity that made her feel simultaneously exposed and protected. Don't move. Only then did Maya register the chaos around her. Her sister Lauren was screaming at someone. Her mother had her hand over her mouth, face pale. And her ex-husband Marcus stood by the pool, his expression caught somewhere between shock and defiance, his designer suit still perfectly dry. It was an accident, Marcus said, but his voice carried no conviction. She got too close to the edge. An accident. The man who'd saved Maya straightened to his full height, water still dripping from his expensive suit. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of face that belonged on movie screens. Sharp jawline, aristocratic nose, and those penetrating eyes that seemed to see through every lie Marcus had ever told. You accidentally pushed a pregnant woman into a pool. I didn't push her. I saw you. The man's voice dropped to something quiet and lethal. Everyone here saw you. Maya's brother-in-law-to-be, Derek, was suddenly beside them, his face flushed. Dominic, man. Let me handle this. Dominic. The name clicked in Maya's fuzzy, oxygen-deprived brain. Dominic Castellano, Derek's business partner. The one her sister had described as dangerous money. The kind of man who made his fortune in ways polite society didn't ask about. Maya had seen him from across the party earlier, a dark figure who seemed to collect shadows, and had been grateful their paths wouldn't cross. So much for that plan. Handle it? Dominic didn't look at Derek, his gaze locked on Marcus like a predator sizing up prey. Your fiancé's sister was just assaulted at your engagement party. How exactly do you plan to handle that, Derek? It's fine, really. Maya tried to stand, but the world tilted dangerously. Dominic's hand shot out, steadying her with a touch that was surprisingly gentle. Sit. You're in shock. He shrugged out of his ruined tuxedo jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The silk lining was still warm from his body heat. Someone call an ambulance. No! Maya's voice came out sharper than she intended. No ambulance. I can't afford... She stopped herself, mortified. Of course, everyone here knew exactly how broke she was. That's why Marcus felt so comfortable pushing her around. Literally. The ambulance isn't optional. Dominic's tone brooked no argument. He crouched in front of her, his eyes level with hers. You're pregnant. You nearly drowned. You need to be checked. I'll take her to the hospital, Marcus said, taking a step forward. She's carrying my child. I have a right. You have the right to remain silent. Dominic stood, placing himself between Marcus and Maya. Which I strongly suggest you exercise before I forget we're in polite company. The temperature around the pool seemed to drop 10 degrees. The other guests, who had been maintaining a polite fiction of not staring, now openly gawked. Maya saw her mother moving closer, wringing her hands. Lauren had tears streaming down her face. Marcus puffed up his chest, trying to match Dominic's intimidating presence, and failing spectacularly. Who the hell do you think you are? You can't threaten me at a private party. I'm the man who just watched you commit assault and battery. Dominic's smile was all teeth and no warmth. In front of 50 witnesses, including Judge Morrison over there, who I notice is already on his phone. So here's how this is going to work, Marcus. You're going to step away from this woman. You're going to stay away from her. And you're going to pray she and her baby are completely fine. Because if they're not... He leaned in, close enough that only Marcus could hear his next words, but Maya saw her ex-husband's face drain of color. You are fucked. Marcus stumbled backward, actually stumbled, his expensive loafers catching on the decorative stone edging. For 3 years of marriage, Maya had watched this man belittle waiters, berate assistants, and bulldoze over anyone he perceived as weaker. She'd never seen him afraid. "This isn't over," Marcus managed, but it sounded hollow. "You're absolutely right. It's not." Dominic pulled out his phone with one hand while keeping the other on Maya's shoulder, an anchor in the storm. "My lawyers will be in touch. And Marcus? If you come within 100 yards of her again, my lawyers will be the least of your problems." The sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Maya's hands moved instinctively to her stomach, checking, hoping, praying. The baby had been kicking just an hour ago during the appetizers. "Please still be okay. Please." "Can you feel movement?" Dominic asked quietly, his attention snapping back to her. Maya nodded, then shook her head, then felt tears spill down her cheeks. "I don't know. I can't tell. What if... Hey." He knelt again, his large hands covering hers on her belly. The gesture was shockingly intimate from a complete stranger, but somehow it felt right. Safe. Your baby is a fighter, just like their mother. You fought like hell in that water. You didn't give up. I couldn't reach the surface. My shoes. Those shoes are at the bottom of the pool where they belong. You're here. You're breathing. That's what matters." His thumbs brushed across her knuckles in a gesture that might have been unconscious, but sent warmth spreading through her, frozen limbs. "What's your name?" "Maya. Maya Torres." "Maya." He said it like he was committing it to memory. "I'm Dominic Castellano, and I'm going to make sure you and your baby are safe. That's a promise." The paramedics burst through the side gate, their equipment rattling. Dominic stood, making space but not leaving her side. As they began their assessment, Maya caught fragments of conversation around the pool. Her mother arguing with Marcus. Lauren sobbing into Derek's shoulder. Judge Morrison speaking sternly into his phone. And through it all, Dominic Castellano stood like a sentinel, his wet clothes plastered to his frame, his eyes never leaving her face. "Blood pressure is elevated, but that's expected given the circumstances," one of the paramedics said. "We need to transport for fetal monitoring." "I'm going with her." Dominic's statement left no room for debate. "Sir, only family. Then I'm her?" Dominic paused for a fraction of a second, his eyes meeting Maya's. "Brother. I'm her brother." The paramedic looked skeptical, glancing between Dominic's dark features and Maya's lighter coloring, but seemed to decide that arguing with a man who radiated that much authority was above his pay grade. As they loaded Maya onto the stretcher, she caught a glimpse of Marcus being cornered by Judge Morrison and 2 other men in expensive suits. His face had gone from pale to red to purple. "Good." "My purse," Maya said suddenly. "My insurance card. Already handled." Dominic held up a designer clutch that definitely wasn't hers. "This is yours for tonight. It has everything you need." Maya didn't have the energy to argue about charity. Besides, the way Dominic said it, like it was simply a fact, not open for discussion, made it easier to accept. She'd spent 3 years with a man who used money as a weapon. Somehow, in less than 15 minutes, she'd been saved by a man who wielded it like a shield. The ambulance doors closed, shutting out the chaos of the party. Inside, the lights were too bright and the space too small, and Maya's dress was still dripping pool water onto the pristine white sheets. Dominic took the jump seat across from her, looking completely unconcerned about the puddle forming under him. "You can't come," Maya said weakly. "You don't even know me. This is insane. You're Derek's business partner. You should stay at the party." "The party," Dominic said dryly, "is over, and I don't leave jobs unfinished." "Jobs? I pulled you out of the pool. That means you're my responsibility until I know you're safe. Those are the rules." "Whose rules?" The corner of his mouth twitched. "Mine." Despite everything, the fear, the cold, the uncertainty, Maya felt a laugh bubble up in her chest. It came out as a slightly hysterical giggle. You have rules about rescuing people from pools? I have rules about a lot of things. The ambulance lurched into motion, and Dominic braced himself with practiced ease. For instance, rule number 3, men who push pregnant women into pools face consequences. What's rule number 1? His gray eyes held hers, serious now. Protect what's mine. I'm not. You are now. He said it with such finality that Maya didn't have a response. The paramedic was attaching monitors, checking her vitals, asking questions she answered automatically. But her attention stayed on the man sitting across from her, this dangerous stranger who'd inserted himself into her life with the force of a cannonball. Or maybe she'd been pushed into his. At the hospital, things moved quickly. They took her to labor and delivery for monitoring, and Dominic somehow managed to stay by her side despite the increasingly suspicious looks from the nursing staff. The doctor, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, did an ultrasound that made Maya's heart nearly stop. Then she heard it. The rapid whoosh, whoosh, whoosh of her baby's heartbeat. Strong and steady, the doctor said, smiling. Baby looks good. You, however, are going to have some impressive bruises, and I want to keep you overnight for observation. Maya's relief was so profound she felt dizzy. Thank you so much. You got lucky. If you'd been under any longer. The doctor didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Do you want to talk to someone about what happened? The police are on their way, Dominic interjected. She'll give a full statement. The doctor's gaze sharpened on him. And you are? The man who pulled her out. Dominic's expression was bland, but Maya caught the steel underneath. The man who watched her ex-husband assault her in front of 50 witnesses. I see, the doctor made a note on her chart. Maya, you have options. Restraining orders, criminal charges. All of which she'll pursue. Dominic's tone suggested this wasn't up for debate either. With the best lawyers in the state. Maya wanted to argue, to remind him that she couldn't afford the best anything. But the words died in her throat as the baby gave a strong kick, reminding her that this wasn't just about her anymore. This wasn't about pride, or independence, or not wanting to owe anyone. This was about keeping her child safe. Okay, she whispered. The doctor patted her hand and left them alone. Dominic immediately pulled out his phone, typing rapidly with his thumbs. His clothes had mostly dried, leaving his white shirt rumpled and his pants wrinkled. He'd lost his bow tie somewhere, probably at the bottom of the pool with her heels. You don't have to stay, Maya said, watching him work. I'm fine now. You've done more than enough. Rule number 6, never leave a job half-finished. How many rules do you have? Depends on the day. He glanced up and something in his expression softened. Are you in pain? Just everything hurts. My back, my ribs, where your arm. She gestured vaguely. You grabbed me pretty hard. I grabbed you exactly hard. Enough to keep you from drowning. There's a difference. But he looked concerned now, standing and moving closer to the bed. Do you need me to get the nurse? No, I just need to sleep, and to wake up from this nightmare. Dominic sat on the edge of her hospital bed, the mattress dipping under his weight. Maya, look at me. She did. This isn't a nightmare. This is the part where things start getting better. How can you possibly know that? Because I'm going to make sure of it. There was something in the way he said it. Not arrogance, but absolute certainty that made Maya want to believe him. This man, who'd known her for less than an hour, who'd ruined a tuxedo that probably cost more than her monthly rent, who was sitting in a hospital room at midnight instead of networking at what was supposed to be one of the social events of the season. Why? The question came out small. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low. 3 years ago, my sister was in a situation. Bad relationship. Guy who thought he could push her around because she was young and scared. By the time I found out, she was in the hospital. Broken jaw. Fractured ribs. his hands clenched into fists on his thighs. I was too late to stop it from happening, but I made damn sure it never happened again. Is she okay now? She's in Milan, designing handbags and dating a very nice, very boring accountant who treats her like a queen. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. So yes, she's okay. But I learned something from that experience. You don't wait. You don't give monsters a second chance. You act. Maya's throat felt tight. I'm not your sister. No. His eyes met hers, and Maya felt the impact of that gaze all the way to her bones. You're not. But that doesn't change what I saw tonight. That doesn't change the fact that you needed help, and I was there to give it. And it sure as hell doesn't change the fact that Marcus fucking whoever is going to face consequences for what he did. A knock at the door interrupted them. 2 police officers entered, followed by a woman in a sharp pantsuit who introduced herself as the hospital's patient advocate. For the next hour, Maya gave her statement, reliving the moment when Marcus's hands connected with her shoulders, the awful sensation of falling, the terror of being underwater and unable to surface. Dominic didn't leave. He sat in the corner, occasionally adding details from his perspective, his presence a solid comfort. When the officers left with promises to follow up, Maya felt wrung out, exhausted down to her marrow. I'm going to let you sleep, Dominic said, finally standing. Panic flared in Maya's chest, which was ridiculous. She barely knew this man. But the thought of being alone in this sterile room, with only her thoughts and her bruises for company, made her want to cry. Okay. He paused at the door, reading something in her face. Would you like me to stay? You don't. I'm not asking if I have to. I'm asking if you want me to. Maya swallowed hard. Yes. Then I'm staying. He pulled the visitor's chair closer to the bed and settled into it like he planned to be there a while. Sleep, Maya. I'll be here when you wake up. She wanted to argue, to tell him this was crazy, that he had better things to do with his night than babysit a woman he'd just met. But her eyes were already closing, exhaustion dragging her under like the pool water had hours before. Only this time, she wasn't afraid, because when she woke, she knew Dominic Castellano would still be there. He'd promised. Maya woke to sunlight streaming through the hospital window and the sound of quiet voices. For a blissful moment, she forgot where she was. Then she tried to move, and every muscle in her body screamed in protest. Easy! Dominic was there instantly, his hand on her shoulder. He looked like hell. Rumpled clothes, dark stubble on his jaw, shadows under his eyes. He'd clearly spent the night in that uncomfortable chair. Don't try to sit up too fast. You stayed. Her voice came out rusty. I said I would. He helped her adjust the bed, supporting her weight until she was propped up on pillows. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. Close. You got pushed into a pool by a truck's ass. He handed her a cup of water with a straw. Drink slowly. The water was heaven. Maya drained half the cup before her brain caught up. What time is it? Almost 8. The doctor will be in soon to check on you. You've been here all night. I have. Dominic sat back down, looking completely unrepentant about it. Your sister called. Several times. Your mother, too. They wanted to come, but I told them to wait until you were ready. Maya wasn't sure how she felt about Dominic running interference with her family, but she also couldn't muster the energy to be annoyed about it. Thank you. Lauren must be freaking out. She's more concerned about you than about her engagement party being derailed. Which, for the record, it absolutely should have been. Derek's dealing with the fallout. God, I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything. Marcus did. Dominic's voice hardened. And before you start that mental spiral I can see forming, let me be very clear. None of this is your fault. Not what he did. Not the party being disrupted. Not me being here. None of it. Maya wanted to believe him, but 3 years of marriage to Marcus had programmed certain responses. Everything was always somehow her fault. Being too sensitive, too demanding, too much or not enough. Even when he'd told her he wanted a divorce 3 weeks after finding out she was pregnant, he'd made it sound like her failure. "I can hear you thinking," Dominic said dryly. "Sorry." "Don't apologize. Just tell me what's going through your head." Maya looked at him. Really looked. He'd saved her life. He'd stayed all night. He'd promised to help. And she didn't even know him. "Why are you doing this?" "I told you last night." "No, really. Why? You barely know me. This isn't your problem. Derek is your business partner, and I just caused a massive scene at his engagement party. You should hate me." Dominic leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Let me tell you what I saw last night. I saw a woman who got dressed up and went to her sister's party even though she had to face her ex-husband. A woman who was standing alone by the pool, probably trying to gather the courage to go back inside. A woman who nearly drowned while 6 months pregnant and still fought like hell to survive. A woman who apologized to the paramedics for getting water on their stretcher." He shook his head. "You want to know why I'm doing this, Maya? Because someone should. Because you deserve someone in your corner. And because..." He paused, something flickering in his eyes. "Because the moment I saw you go under, something in me decided you were mine to protect. Call it instinct. Call it fate. Call it whatever you want. But I'm not walking away." Maya's heart was hammering so hard, she worried the monitors would start beeping. "You don't even know me. Then let me." The words hung in the air between them, heavy, with meaning. "Let me know you. Let me help. Let me make sure you and your baby are safe. I don't want your money, Maya. I want..." He ran a hand through his hair, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. "Christ, I don't know what I want. But I know that walking away from you isn't an option. So instead of fighting me on this, how about you just say yes?" It was insane. All of this was insane. But Maya was so tired of being strong, of handling everything alone, of pretending she had it together when she was barely keeping her head above water. Literally and figuratively. "Yes," she whispered. The smile that spread across Dominic's face transformed him. Gone was the dangerous man from last night, replaced by something warmer, more human. Good. Then here's what's going to happen. First, we're getting you released from the hospital. Second, you're not going back to wherever you're currently living. Dominic, I did some research last night. You're in a studio apartment in a neighborhood that has 3 times the city average for break-ins. The building doesn't have a security system. Marcus knows where you live. His expression went hard again. "So no, you're not going back there. I have a guest house on my property. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, completely private. You'll stay there. I can't just move into your guest house." "Why not?" "Because I don't know you. Because that's crazy. Because you're scared." Dominic's voice gentled. "I get it. But Maya, listen to me. Marcus isn't going to just go away. Men like him, they escalate. Last night it was pushing you into a pool. What's next? What happens when he decides he wants to talk, and he knows exactly where to find you?" The fear that Maya had been trying to keep at bay came rushing back. Because Dominic was right. Marcus had been getting worse over the past few weeks, ever since she'd filed for child support. The phone calls at odd hours, showing up at the grocery store where she worked. Last night hadn't been an accident. It had been rage, pure and simple. "I'm scared," Maya admitted, hating how small her voice sounded. "I know. But you don't have to be scared alone anymore." Dominic reached for her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. "I have an entire security system. Cameras, gates, the works. I have staff who are trained to handle situations. You'll be safe there. Both of you will be safe." The baby kicked, as if offering an opinion on the matter. Maya pressed her hand to her stomach, feeling the flutter of movement. "What do you get out of this?" "Peace of mind, knowing I did the right thing. A chance to..." He stopped himself. "A chance to what?" "Get to know you." The way he said it made Maya's breath catch. Without your ex-husband trying to kill you, call me old-fashioned. A laugh escaped her, slightly hysterical. This is insane. Most of the best things are. Before Maya could respond, the doctor entered, smiling professionally. The examination was thorough, and by the end of it, Maya was cleared to leave with strict instructions to rest and follow up with her OB/GYN within 48 hours. I'll make sure she does, Dominic said, already typing on his phone. I'm assuming Dr. Reeves is still the best in the city? The doctor raised an eyebrow. She's excellent, but her practice is usually booked months in advance. She'll make room. It wasn't a boast, just a statement of fact. The doctor didn't argue. 2 hours later, Maya found herself in the passenger seat of a black Mercedes, watching the city roll by. Dominic drove with the same controlled confidence he seemed to bring to everything, one hand on the wheel, the other resting casually on the center console. He'd somehow procured actual clothes for her, yoga pants, a soft t-shirt that accommodated her baby bump, and sneakers that fit perfectly. How did you know my size? Maya asked, plucking at the shirt. Your sister. He glanced at her, smiling slightly. I called her while you were getting dressed. She's worried about you, by the way. Wants to visit this afternoon if you're up for it. She must be furious with me. She's furious with Marcus. There's a difference. Dominic turned onto a tree-lined street where the houses grew steadily larger and more impressive. Derek, too. Apparently he's known Marcus was a piece of work, but didn't realize the extent of it. No one did. I got good at hiding things. You won't have to hide anymore. Maya wanted to believe him, but a lifetime of disappointment had taught her to be cautious. What do you do, Dominic? For work, I mean. Derek said you were business partners, but he was always vague about the details. I own several businesses. Import-export, primarily. Some real estate, a few restaurants. He said it casually, but Maya had grown up around money. She knew the difference between a few restaurants and the kind of wealth that got you appointments with booked doctors and made police officers take your statement very seriously. Is it legal? The question surprised a laugh out of him. Yes, Maya, it's legal. Mostly boring, actually. Lots of contracts and shipping manifests and arguing with customs officials. He pulled through an iron gate that opened automatically. Not nearly as exciting as people like to imagine, but dangerous enough that you have security. Maya looked around as they drove up a winding driveway lined with manicured hedges. The main house came into view, a sprawling stone mansion that belonged in a magazine spread. The security is for peace of mind more than necessity, though in my line of work, you make enemies. Better to be prepared. He drove past the main house to a smaller building nestled in a grove of trees. It was still bigger than any place Maya had ever lived, with large windows, a wraparound porch, and flower boxes that someone clearly tended with care. This is the guest house? Maya asked, slightly dazed. This is your new home, for as long as you need it. Dominic parked and came around to open her door, offering his hand. Come on, let me show you around. The inside was even more impressive. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture that looked expensive, but inviting, a kitchen with granite countertops, and stainless steel appliances. Dominic led her on a quick tour, a master bedroom with an ensuite bathroom, a second bedroom that would be perfect for a nursery, a cozy living room with a fireplace. There's a panic button in every room, Dominic explained, pointing to small, discreet buttons mounted near the light switches. Press 1 and my security team will be here in under 2 minutes. The doors and windows have sensors. No one gets in without you knowing about it. Maya sank onto the sofa, overwhelmed. This is too much. It's exactly enough. Dominic sat beside her, close but not crowding. Maya, I need you to understand something. I don't do things halfway. When I commit to something, or someone, I'm all in. So if you're going to keep arguing with me about helping you, we're going to have a very long, very frustrating relationship. Relationship? Friendship, at minimum. Partnership, ideally. His eyes searched hers. Look, I know this is fast. I know it's overwhelming, but sometimes in life, you meet someone and you just know. You know they're supposed to be part of your story. I knew it the moment I pulled you out of that water. Maya's heart was doing acrobatics. I don't believe in fate. Neither did I, until last night. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear in a gesture that felt achingly intimate. Stay. Rest. Let me take care of things, and when you're ready, when you feel safe and strong again, we'll figure out what comes next. Together. The word together shouldn't have affected her so much, but it did. Because for the last 6 months, ever since Marcus had handed her divorce papers and walked out, Maya had been alone. Facing pregnancy alone. Facing fear alone. Facing an uncertain future alone. But maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to be alone anymore. Okay, Maya said, the word feeling like a leap off a cliff. Okay, I'll stay. The smile that lit Dominic's face was worth every ounce of uncertainty. Good. Then let's get you settled. You need rest, food, and probably about 12 hours of sleep. Bossy, you have no idea. But he said it with warmth, standing and offering his hand again. Come on, I'll show you where everything is, then I'll leave you to rest. But I'm right up at the main house if you need anything. And I mean anything, Maya. 2 a.m, craving ice cream? Call me. Scared about a strange noise? Call me. Just want company? Call me. You're really committed to this whole protection thing. I told you, I don't do anything halfway. As Dominic showed her the fully stocked refrigerator, the soft towels in the bathroom, the security system controls, Maya felt something unfurling in her chest. Something that felt dangerously like hope. This man, this beautiful, dangerous, impossible man, had crashed into her life like a meteor and apparently had no plans to leave. It should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like finally being able to breathe. When Dominic finally left, with strict instructions to call if she needed anything, Maya stood in the middle of her new living room and let herself cry. Not from fear or pain or exhaustion, though she felt all three, but from relief, from the overwhelming sense that maybe, just maybe, things were actually going to be okay. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Already checked in with security. You're all set. Get some rest. D. Maya saved the number, then another text came through. P.S. Your ex-husband was arrested this morning. Assault charges. His lawyer is very expensive and very worried. Sleep well, knowing he's the one having a bad day for once. A smile tugged at Maya's lips as she typed back. Thank you, for everything. His response was immediate. Just getting started. And somehow, Maya believed him. 3 days later, Maya was beginning to understand what Dominic meant by all in. He'd shown up every day, usually twice, once in the morning with fresh pastries from a bakery in the city, and once in the evening to check that she had everything she needed. He'd arranged the appointment with Dr. Reeves, who confirmed that both Maya and the baby were completely healthy, despite their ordeal. He'd had her things moved from her old apartment, sorted, organized, and unpacked, before she could even offer to help. And through it all, he never once made her feel like a charity case. Instead, he made her feel cared for, protected, valued. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. You're going to spoil me, Maya said on the 4th evening, watching Dominic unpack what appeared to be half of an Italian restaurant onto her kitchen counter. That's the plan. He grinned at her, and Maya's traitorous heart did a backflip. How was this man real? Chicken piccata, fresh bread, Caesar salad, and tiramisu for dessert. I remembered you mentioning you were craving Italian. I mentioned that once, 3 days ago. I have an excellent memory. He started plating food with the efficiency of someone who was comfortable in a kitchen. Come eat. You need to keep your strength up. They'd fallen into a routine of eating dinner together. Maya told herself it was just convenience. Dominic was already there, bringing food, and it would be rude not to invite him to stay. But the truth was, she looked forward to these evenings. to his stories about the restaurant industry and his sister in Milan, to the way he asked about her day, her cravings, her fears about becoming a mother, to the way he looked at her like she was the most interesting person in the room. "How's the restraining order coming?" Maya asked, spearing a piece of chicken. "Signed and delivered. Marcus is required to stay at least 500 feet away from you. He violated it once already. Tried to call from a blocked number. His lawyer is now strongly encouraging him to comply before he ends up in jail again." Dominic's expression darkened. "He's claiming you provoked him." "Of course he is." Maya had expected nothing less. Marcus never took responsibility for anything. "It won't hold up. Too many witnesses. Judge Morrison alone would be enough, but there were at least 30 other people who saw what happened. And the hospital records documenting your injuries." Dominic reached across the table, covering her hand with his. "He's not getting anywhere near you, Maya. I promise." His hand was warm, solid, real. Maya found herself turning her palm up, threading her fingers through his. It was the first time she'd initiated contact, and she felt Dominic's surprise in the way he stilled. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I don't know if I've said that enough, but thank you. For everything." "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do. You've turned your entire life upside down for a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore." His thumb brushed over her knuckles, the gesture making her shiver. "You're Maya. You're the woman who makes terrible jokes when she's nervous, who organizes the spice rack alphabetically, who talks to her baby when she thinks no one is listening. You're not a stranger. You're you." Maya's breath caught. They were still holding hands across the table, and the air between them felt charged with something electric. Dangerous. Inevitable. Dominic? She wasn't sure what she was going to say. Maybe that this was too fast. Maybe that she was still technically married, even if it was just paperwork. Maybe that she was pregnant with another man's child and drowning in complications. But before she could form the words, her phone rang. Lauren's name flashed on the screen. The moment broke. Dominic pulled back, giving her space, and Maya answered with a slightly breathless, "Hello?" "Maya, thank God. Is Dominic there?" Lauren sounded stressed. "Yes, why?" "Because Marcus showed up at Mom's house. He's demanding to see you. Mom's freaking out. Derek is on his way. But I thought Dominic should know." Dominic was already on his feet, his phone to his ear. "When did he arrive? How many violation charges is that now? Keep the doors locked until police arrive. I'm on my way." He hung up and looked at Maya. "Stay here. Lock the doors. Security is already on alert." "Lauren, we'll be fine. Derek's handling it, but I need to make sure your mother understands the legal situation." He paused at the door, his expression softening. "You're safe here, Maya. No one gets past my security. But call me if you need me, okay?" Then he was gone, leaving Maya alone with her half-eaten dinner and a swirl of emotions she couldn't begin to untangle. An hour later he returned, looking grim. Maya had been pacing the living room, unable to sit still, and she practically ran to the door when she heard his key in the lock. "Is everyone okay?" she demanded. "Everyone's fine. Marcus is back in custody. He'll likely face additional charges now." Dominic ran a hand through his hair, looking exhausted. "Your mother wants you to come stay with her." I explained why that wasn't the best idea given the circumstances. She must have been so upset. She was more upset that you're living with a man she's never met. A wry smile tugged at his mouth. "I may have been invited to Sunday dinner, to be properly introduced." Despite everything, Maya laughed. "That sounds like Mom. She's old-fashioned." "So am I, in some ways." Dominic moved into the living room, sinking onto the sofa with a heavy sigh. He looked worn out, the stress of the evening showing in the tension in his shoulders. Maya sat beside him, close enough that their thighs touched. "You didn't have to deal with all that. You could have just called the police. Your family is your family. They needed to understand that you're protected, that there's a plan, that Marcus isn't going to get away with this." He turned his head to look at her. "They love you, they're worried. I get it. My mother thinks this whole situation is scandalous. Her pregnant daughter living in some strange man's guest house. Is that what you think? That I'm some strange man? No. The word came out softer than she intended. No, you're not strange. You're Dominic. Something shifted in his expression. Maya, I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen before you respond. Okay? Her heart started hammering. Okay? I know this is fast. I know you're going through hell right now with the divorce, the baby, Marcus being a criminal. I know the last thing you probably want is some guy complicating your life even more. He shifted to face her fully. But I need you to know that this isn't just about protecting you. It stopped being just about that around day 2. Somewhere between the hospital and helping you organize your spice rack and watching you talk to your baby, this became about something else entirely. Dominic, I'm falling for you. The words hung in the air between them, raw and honest. I know I shouldn't be. I know the timing is terrible. I know you're vulnerable, and I'm supposed to be the stable, safe option. But God, Maya, when I'm with you, I feel like I can actually breathe. Like everything in my life that felt cold and transactional suddenly has meaning. You make me want things I'd given up on. Maya's eyes were burning with unshed tears. What things? A family, a home, someone to come back to who actually cares if I make it through the day. He reached up, cupping her face in his hand. I'm not asking you to feel the same way. I'm not even asking you to do anything about it. I just needed you to know, because keeping it to myself was killing me. For a long moment, Maya couldn't speak. Her mind was racing, cataloging every interaction they'd had over the past few days. The way he remembered her coffee order. The way he'd baby-proofed the guest house without being asked. The way he looked at her like she was precious, not damaged. I'm still married, she finally said. On paper. We can fix that. I'm pregnant with another man's child. You're pregnant with your child. That baby is part of you, which makes them important to me. I'm a mess, Dominic. I have no money, no job, no plan for the future beyond surviving the next 9 weeks until this baby arrives. Then we'll make a plan. Together. He was still cradling her face, his thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. But Maya, I need to know. Is there any possibility, any chance at all, that you might feel something too? Because if there's not, I'll step back. I'll still help you, still keep you safe, but I'll give you space. Just tell me. Maya's hand came up to cover his where it rested against her cheek. She thought about Marcus, who'd made her feel small and worthless and afraid. She thought about the years she'd spent trying to be good enough for a man who would never be satisfied. She thought about how close she'd come to drowning, to losing everything. And then she thought about Dominic, about safety and warmth and the way her heart did ridiculous things every time he smiled. About how, for the first time in years, she felt like someone actually saw her. I feel something, she whispered. I feel terrified and hopeful and like I'm standing on the edge of something huge. I feel like I should tell you to slow down, to wait, to be sensible. But I also feel like I've been sensible my whole life, and it got me pushed into a pool by a man who was supposed to love me. Dominic's eyes had darkened, his gaze intense. What are you saying? I'm saying, Maya took a shaky breath. I'm saying maybe fast isn't always bad. Maybe sometimes you meet someone and you just know. Maybe I'm tired of being afraid. Maya, she kissed him, leaned forward and pressed her lips to his before her courage could fail. It was soft, tentative, terrified, and brave all at once. For a heartbeat, Dominic didn't move, as if he couldn't quite believe it was happening. Then he was kissing her back, his hand sliding into her hair, his other arm wrapping around her waist to pull her closer. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was a claiming, a promise, a declaration of intent. Maya melted into it, into him, letting herself feel wanted and protected and cherished in a way she'd never experienced before. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. Tell me you mean this. Tell me you're not just caught up in the moment. I mean it. I'm terrified, and it's probably crazy and I have no idea what I'm doing. But I mean it. His smile was brilliant, transforming his usually serious face. Good, because I'm about to make things even crazier. How could things possibly get crazier? Marry me, Maya jerked back. What? Marry me. He said it like it was the most reasonable suggestion in the world. Not right now, obviously, but soon, before the baby comes. Marry me and let me give you and your child my name, my protection, everything I have. Dominic, that's insane. Is it? Think about it. You need stability, security. I can give you that. I want to give you that. I want to be the father that baby deserves. I want to wake up next to you every morning and know you're safe. I want... He stopped himself, breathing hard. I want everything, Maya. With you. We barely know each other. Then we'll get to know each other as my wife. He pulled her back into his arms, holding her tight. I know this sounds crazy. I know I'm asking for too much too fast. But Maya, I've spent my whole life being careful, being strategic, waiting for the right moment. And then I pulled you out of that pool, and every careful plan I ever made went straight out the window. So yes, I'm asking you to marry me after knowing you for 4 days. But I'm also promising to spend every day after that earning your trust, your love, your yes. I'm promising to be the partner you deserve, the father your baby deserves. I'm promising you won't regret taking this leap with me. Maya should have said no, should have laughed it off as adrenaline and proximity and gratitude mistaken for something deeper, should have reminded herself, that fairy tales didn't exist and people didn't fall in love in 4 days, and pregnant women definitely shouldn't make life-altering decisions in the middle of emotional crises. But then the baby kicked, hard enough that Dominic must have felt it where his arm was wrapped around her. His eyes widened, his hand moving instinctively to her stomach. Was that the baby? Probably telling us we're both insane. Or giving their approval. He splayed his hand across her belly, his expression filled with wonder. Hey there, little one. Your mom and I are having a very important conversation about your future. What do you think? Should she say yes? Another kick, stronger this time. Maya laughed through her tears. I think you're both ganging up on me. Is it working? She looked at him. Really looked. At this man who'd dove into a pool without hesitation, who'd stayed by her side through the worst night of her life, who'd reorganized his entire world to keep her safe. This man who was asking her to trust him with her future, her child's future, her heart. It was crazy. It was impossible. It was everything she'd learned not to hope for. Ask me again, Maya said. Ask me again when I'm not crying and terrified and overwhelmed. Ask me again when I've had time to think, to breathe, to be sure. And if you still mean it, if you still want me and this baby, and this complicated mess of a life, then I'll give you an answer. Dominic's smile was soft, understanding. I can do that. But Maya, the answer's not going to change. Today, tomorrow, next week, next year, I'm still going to want you. That's a promise. He kissed her again, slower this time, sweeter. A promise of better things to come. And Maya let herself believe it. Let herself imagine a future that looked nothing like the careful plans she'd once made, and everything like the wild, impossible dream taking shape in Dominic Castellano's arms. When they finally settled on the couch together, Maya tucked against his side, his hand resting protectively on her stomach, she felt the last of her resistance crumble. Dominic? Ask me again at Sunday dinner, in front of my mother. She felt him tense, then laugh. Are you serious? You wanted to be properly introduced. Maya tilted her head to look up at him. Can't think of a better way to make a first impression. The grin that spread across his face was equal parts delighted and dangerous. You realize your mother might have a heart attack? She'll survive. She's tougher than she looks. Maya settled back against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her cheek. Besides, she always said I needed to find a man who was willing to fight for me. Might as well find out if she meant it. Maya Torres, Dominic said, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. You are going to be the death of me. Not if I have anything to say about it. She laced her fingers through his. You promised me better things, remember? Can't deliver on that if you're dead. Fair point. They sat there as the evening deepened into night, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely circumstances, holding on to something that felt suspiciously like hope. Outside, security lights flickered on as Dominic's team made their rounds. Somewhere in the city, Marcus was learning that some women weren't meant to stay down when you pushed them. And in a few days, Maya's mother was going to get the shock of her life when a dangerous man with gray eyes and steady hands asked for her daughter's hand in marriage. But for now, in this moment, Maya let herself simply be. Be safe. Be held. Be, for the first time in longer than she could remember, truly happy. The baby kicked again, and Dominic's hand moved with the flutter of movement, his laugh rumbling through his chest. This kid's gonna be a fighter. Takes after their mother, Maya said softly, and their father. Dominic's words were quiet, but firm. If you'll let me be. Maya didn't have an answer yet, not the one he wanted. But she had something better. She had hope. And sometimes that was enough to start with. Ask me Sunday, she whispered. I will, he promised. And Maya? I already know what you're going to say. She should have argued, should have reminded him that she was unpredictable, that she needed time, that nothing was certain. But instead, she just smiled into the darkness and let the future be uncertain for once. Because sometimes the best things in life were the ones you never saw coming. The ones that pushed you into the deep end and forced you to decide, sink or swim. And Maya was done sinking.